Upgrades.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Episode 3, The Sunken Tombs. This is obviously Vox Machina Season 3, or Season 2, Episode 3. And this one just kind of gets rocking and rolling off the bat. If this is obviously your first time here, myself, Jorge, and Mike, we've been reviewing every single episode here of Vox Machina. So definitely, if you haven't seen any of the previous ones, go check those out. And as always, these are not spoiler free; these are spoiler filled. So if you haven't seen it, there's your warning. So it's all on you.
It's all on you.
Yeah. I mean, just keeping it simple here. Other than that, I mean, this one kind of starts off a little dark with, I guess Pike having a vision of basically the dragons just destroying everything, which this time all 4 dragons were there present, which I thought was kind of cool. And yeah, so that kind of just starts off like that. How, I guess, first and foremost, what did you think of this episode? Let's just start before we start dissecting it. What did you think of this episode, Mike?
This episode is pretty heavy. Like you said, it starts pretty heavy and then it ends really heavy.
Yeah.
A lot of really good character work going into this episode. But there's still like I said, like I love the pacing of this show. There's still a good amount of action that takes place. You get to see a lot of relatively high level magic going on, which is super fun. And new monsters are always welcome.
Yeah.
So I was really into the idea. Like the opening was kind of weird to me because it starts with Pike, like you said, having this vision of the Chroma Conclave just kind of in the burning crater that is Amon.
Yeah.
And Pike is there, but there's no real link for her to be there that you can draw from like the last episode. So it's kind of jarring. It's like, oh, did I miss something?
Yeah.
And then when the Thordak basically just says, oh, I don't really need you people anymore because you've brought me all the treasure that's in here, and he just torches everyone. And then you're like, oh, where's Pike gonna go? And then she like you see that she was like kind of having a vision at the time. And I don't know if this was like an actual vision from the Everlight or if that was their way of kind of explaining that she was casting Scry, which is kind of like a distant viewing divination spell where you can kind of like view a location or a person as long as you're familiar with it. But I don't remember her being the one that was casting Scry as much as like Keyleth was the one that was always casting Scry in the first campaign.
Okay. Oh, I didn't. Okay, I didn't even think of that as a spell. So that's actually kind of interesting. So I guess from there, you kind of go through this vision, which was mind-boggling. I think you said it best. Just started weird and it ended weird for me. But you go there and then they finally reach the lake. And of course, Scandalin is riding a foot, little mage that he made, ice skating on the lake. And he ends up, I won't say falling in, but, obviously something kind of hits him. And it's these, I don't even know what to call them other than like fish people, but I'm sure.
Yeah, they're like shark guys.
Yeah.
They call them something, and I don't know. I've never heard of those things. I know that like the kind of character that would be equivalent to in D&D would be something called like a marrow.
Okay. Okay.
But they're like mermen, like really jacked, super strong mermen. So they don't have like the legs that they did in this one.
Okay. No, these things were just, they were just weird looking fish. Well, I'll stick with fish people.
Yeah.
So, obviously he falls in there. And then, which I thought was kind of surprising, but also in like a good way, is you kind of see Cash and is it Zara? Is that her
Hmm.
name? You kind
Yeah.
of see them kind of, for better lack of terms, save the day. Which I'm definitely digging. Like I like Cash's character, I think a lot more than Zara right now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he just I don't know. I vibe with like kind of his personality, and I think his personality, in a weird way, sinks in better with Vox than Zara. Like Zara, I think just has like some type of complex that she's trying to like either prove or something. But that's a weird one. But they saved them, and then they start explaining about the like the tomb and all this. And did I hear them correctly? I guess the tomb is of the Raven Queen called Pervan. Is that it? No.
The Raven Queen is the name of the deity. Pervan is her champion, or at least it was her champion on Earth. Whenever the way that usually the way that D&D gods work is that like they're so powerful that there's no way that you could even like put them like they don't have stat blocks because like if you give something a stat block, it means you can kill it. Or at least your players are going to read it that way.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
oh, how many hit points does it have? And they'll always find like some crazy broken combo to do it. So generally speaking, gods don't have stat blocks, and what they do use are like avatars on Earth that kind of do their bidding, and that's who Pervon was at the time.
Oh, got it.
Yeah,
Um,
Pervon is like I guess like the champion of that particular god, and like the Raven Queen would then channel her powers through Pervon.
okay, that makes more sense then.
Yeah.
So, they start telling him about that, and which I thought was super cool. They finally, kind of brag a little bit about all the magical items that they got from the store, and obviously, like the broom falls out, and they make fun of Scandalin for the broom, which I'm hoping that becomes like a Harry Potter type broom where he can just fly around and do things with it. But finally, Grog gets his belt, and as soon as he puts it on, we see the new and improved bearded Grog, which I know we talked about this a little bit last time, like off the recording, but that's a dwarven belt, right?
Yeah, it's a belt of dwarven kind. Like the immediate effect was the beard.
Okay.
And that's probably the thing that he's the happiest about. But like in game stats, like it helps him resist poison damage. It helps him
Oh,
see in the dark, which is something the Goliath species is not able to do.
that's kind of, now. Does it add any type of I don't want to say anger issues because that's not the right word, but as soon as he puts it on, he gets a beard. I think it was Cash who like made a comment, and he was like, "I got a beard," and like all up in his face.
I think it's just because Grog loves that he has a beard,
Okay,
and the idea that the beard is not good enough
okay,
is
because that part made me chuckle a little bit because I was like, "Oh." And then from there, you kind of see like they're in the campsite. Everything goes down, but you see kind of the what do you call them? Vex and Vax just kind of up on a tree, and I don't want to say they reminisce over, and I don't want to call it daddy issues just yet, but definitely daddy issues. So there was a few comments that I guess kind of threw me off, and hoping you can kind of help me with that. So when the dad comes in, he basically says like, "You're not like us," and all this. Are they? I guess what was he referring to that? Are they like
they're half elves.
okay? And his father obviously is like a high elf,
Yeah.
which is like full blown. Okay, that makes sense because yeah, he basically was like he he put them in their place real quick. It's like no, you're adopted. You are
Yeah.
not a child. Um, which is interesting. Okay, so then from that kind of explains a little bit more on why Vax is always, I guess, for better lack of terms, like trying to be with his sister at all times and all that. Because I mean, they look like they were young at that point. So I'm guessing since like 10 or 11, they've probably been together, and
Mhm.
that's it. So okay, that explains, because I've always kind of wondered a little bit more about their backstory and like why he's always around type of stuff. But that explains it. But yeah, so that's obviously we have weird daddy issues going on there. Um, and then kind of the morning comes, and I kind of think it's neat, and this is kind of like the first, other than Zara saving Scandalin, but I guess her and Keyleth kind of join magic in a weird way and part the lake. Um, Now with that, I'm guessing, why wouldn't Zara be able to do that by herself?
It looks like Zara is a warlock. Um, warlocks have very limited spells. They have spell slots to use. So I see is like just it's always cool to see like magic getting used at the in partnership with one. It looks like Bliss is using some very amped up version of Gust of Wind to like kind of part the waters, and then Zara is using maybe like some kind of wall of force to keep all of the water at bay.
Okay,
Um, but I would like if we're talking strict mechanics, like if she used wall of force to do that, she probably could have done that on her own.
okay. No,
But I'm not clear as to like really if it was just like just like artistic license taken with the spell casting.
that makes sense. And then we kind of run into something which has happened to me playing D&D, which I think is hilarious, when Grog goes running down there and tries to push open the door, and basically
That
ends up,
is that is a running gag in Critical Role is that they always just have such problems with doors.
yeah, and it's just so chill how like Scanlan just walks in, he's like, buddy, this is a pull, not a push situation.
Yeah.
But they all kind of get into the tomb. Obviously water closes, and here's where things just kind of go haywire. So once they're in there, they kind of, I guess, almost enter this room, and I won't say surrounded by water. It's almost like they have a water bridge somewhat in between it.
Mhm.
um but I guess they start facing off against these fish guys. But the part that I found interesting was obviously Grok going psycho, killing these things, and Pike, I guess, understanding it, or at least kind of like seeing it for a quick
She
second.
knows something's up
Yeah.
for sure.
So at that point, I guess, is and I know before she had a chance to like explain it or talk to him, it was very unique how, and right before this, so we kind of jumped off like Grok being Grok, like sets off like three different traps, which splits up the
So
team.
good. So good.
which which first of all, it splits up Vax and Vex, which I think was obviously part of the thing. But it was just very interesting seeing how quickly Vax was like, don't move, like I'm coming, like right for you type of stuff.
Yeah.
So
It's
it
really good, like foreshadowing for everything that's going on. It also has like echoes towards like all the flashbacks that we've been getting about their childhood and how like, after they left their fathers, they're kind of on their own and they really only have each other. And while the whole point, I guess, is like they really lean into the idea that Max is like, don't go far from me. I'm gonna protect you, or like you don't have to watch like and like the way that they flip it near the end, and you realize that like is like so dependent on his sister to frown because he's afraid of what would happen to him if she were not there.
Yeah, which I think
so
and that
like,
part's kind of interesting.
That's just like what.
Yeah, I was gonna say that part's very interesting. How this whole time, at least even for me, I've always thought it was him trying to protect her. And it's like stay close, stay close. But in reality, she's perfectly fine without him, and it's him
Yeah.
who needs her, which was a very neat little just, I guess, kind of like better understanding of that character. But as they start fighting and all this, and once they kind of defeat the like all the little shark or like fish people, we see that Cash and Zara kind of mosey on their way, leaving them
Yeah.
behind, and they actually finally find the tomb. And then this is where Cash, I guess, obviously throws a spell out, but is it I guess, is that like a detect magic spell, or what was
I
that?
would think, I would think it's either detect magic or locate object.
Okay, yeah, because he was able to figure out like which tomb it was, and obviously like uncovers it, and it's as in any movie goes, as soon as they enter it, the next team just rolls right in a few seconds later. Um, Here's where obviously for me this episode took a turn for the worse, because I was not expecting any of this. So it's not Grog. It's the bear finds like a little one of the fish people that are dead finds something. Percy, kind of sees like a little. I guess it
There's
would
like
be
a little toggle switch, and he just like rotates a tile, and then it calls up a sarcophagus holding the ward of the Deathbringer.
yeah. So then that pops up, and then you obviously you kind of go in there and they examine it. Vex says it's okay, so her and Percy go to open it, and here's where like I guess I'm kind of confused. As soon as they open it, it was almost like this dark spirit comes out, and then like boom, you know.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean it was clearly trapped, and this is very like in the weeds D&D stuff, but like usually you use your rogue to go check for that kind of stuff because they tend to have high investigations. That's why Vax went down into like an open hole that they thought where the treasure would be, and he started looking around down there. But it was they've been doing this for a little while now. It's usually been Vex kind of like teasing Percy in a flirty kind of way, and we see a kind of reversal of this as Percy kind of teases Vex that like, oh, do you need your brother to help you out with everything? And of course she's like, no, I'm going to do this thing. And so they open it together. And the worst part of that is that it looks like Vex is not even the one to trigger the trap. It's Percy who triggers the trap by like touching
yeah,
the armor. And yeah, there's like some kind of dark spirit or energy that kind of like flows out and it misses Percy and it hits Vex. And I love when animators do this where like you can kind of like, because like these things are not living things, they're it's just paint on paper, or in these days it's just digital stuff, and you can see the light go out of her eyes, and it's so, I mean, that's just really good animation.
yeah,
Like you watching her die it wrecks you.
yeah. Which
I knew that was coming and I got a little choked up, and I was like, oh.
see, I did not know it was coming, so I was because I've always I think Vex has been such a cool addition to this team. So like I was very bummed when that happened. I did not approve.
Yeah,
Um, and then of course like the episode just kind of like dies off there. Like you see Vax come up from the hole, and he literally is like, I leave you alone for 30 seconds. And it's
yeah,
like, all this happens. So yeah, the episode literally just dies right there. No pun intended. But
yeah, yeah.
it's I'm hoping this isn't the end of Vex, because that would kind of suck. But But yeah, like this is I think this was the first episode that truly like leaves you off on this like massive cliffhanger. Um which I was not expecting at all. So so you kind of know the story. So I am just going to spitball here
Yeah.
because obviously I would tell you like what do you think's going to happen next, but you already know. So for me I'm
Full
trying to
disclosure, when I was watching Critical Role, a lot of times it would be on drives. Like, not that I was watching it, I would usually run it on YouTube Premium. And YouTube Premium allows you to just like kind of listen to things without the video. And that's
okay.
usually what I would listen to it like a podcast is usually what I would do.
Okay. Okay.
And there were times where like when I'm driving, like I'll kind of like zone out of what I'm listening to. And like I would hear them panic. I'm like, what's going on? And I was like, oh no, someone died. And then I'd have to like skip back and be like, oh, Bex died.
Oh, that's
This
awesome.
was just like one of those times where I was like driving and I had to like it caught me off guard and like I don't have all of the details about like what they do after she dies, but there's definitely like this whole "do not go far from me." This like that is a like a memorable quote from Vax, and it's on Critical Role merch. Like they have like a Vaxeldon like rogue cloak. It's like basically like a cardigan hoodie,
Yeah.
and like on there's an embellishment that has like the phrase "do not go far from me." Like
Oh no. I think I lost you, Mike. Oh no. Okay. So I think we
have
may have
you on
oh, no,
video.
okay, I thought I
I'm
lost you
back.
for a second. The audio went off for a second and you were frozen. So I was like,
Oh, okay.
no. Um, okay,
Well,
no,
no.
so
Hopefully, I mean, I don't know, but yeah, it was just great to see that phrase and then like being used and then with the emotional punch that makes it like vast. Like I think that when a lot of people have seen this and who come to Vox Machina from this show, I totally expect a huge spike in sales in those cloaks that say "Do not go far from me."
yeah. No, I mean it makes sense. I think right now, like my biggest fear is kind of seeing like how Vax will end up changing, you know.
Mhm.
And obviously I hope his sister's not dead forever. I hope they're able to do something, but it's like I wonder how that dynamic is going to change, and then plus his dynamic with Percy, how that will change. Um, which I think will end up being like a downward spiral type of thing. Um, and then I do wonder if Pike is going to like bring up to Grog like, yo man, like what type of PEDs are you taking? Like that's not
They're seeding all of these plot hooks, like they're throwing out all these plot threads for you to pick up on later, and then they just start snapping them into place. And when they do, it's so gratifying.
okay. See, so no, I'm super. I guess I'm super stoked. This is one of those things where I don't know how Amazon plans to release these episodes, but if they do, because I think last season they did the first three, and then it was
They release 3 episodes, I think, every week is how they did it.
so if they do that, I
That
mean,
means it ends on this.
yeah, which is brutal. Like
So brutal.
this is not a way you wanna end stuff, but it's I mean it'll definitely get people coming. So
Yeah,
gosh, so over I mean yeah, this show still keeps rocking. So no complaints, no
still fire.
yeah, this is dope. So what's I guess for you, what's something you're looking forward to, I guess, in the next little bit,
Well, we're in this tomb that's like a shrine of the Raven Queen, and we have just had Vax take a terrible loss. So the thing, obviously for me right now, the thing that I'm focused most on is what this does to Vax and like how the Raven Queen like becomes involved as a result of all of this stuff that's happening. One thing, this is a little this is still like regarding the Raven Queen and her champion Pervansul. This is just like kind of like a little Easter egg for like DMs more than I would say players. Because like as a DM, you populate your world with NPCs and all of these different things, and you have it in your head. You're writing it. Sometimes you don't say things out loud, and you come up with names, and then you don't really hear them, and then you say something, and then your players will make fun of the name.
Yo,
And that's that. It felt exactly like one of those moments where like Pervon.
that was a part of the campsite scene. I forgot about that.
Like that. I mean, we've definitely done that as players to our DM Eric, and I've definitely, as a DM, have had my players play around with the names that I give people, or they'll just be like reduce the name to something like easier for them to remember.
Yeah. No, I know I'm guilty of that one.
I've done that to players. I know that one of my players created a character named Morius, and I misheard him, and I just kept calling him Maurice. I was like, that's a weird joke to play, but okay, yeah. Maurice.
Oh, I love that. Well, shoot. I am going to probably cut this video short because I definitely want to know what the heck happens
Yeah.
moving forward. So, for all of you tuning in, I would say if you're tuning in when we drop this, unfortunately, you're going to have to wait another week for our review to come out. But we will be very excited to tell you all about it. I know, as always, me and Mike, we're going to be here reviewing every single episode, just kind of dissecting them a little bit more. Definitely, we'll be looking at the comment section, once these get dropped. So make sure to throw comments in there, ask questions, tell us some of your favorite scenes, some of the stuff you may have questions on, and we'll definitely do our best to answer it. But other than that, as always, this is Jorge and Mike from Team JVS, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.
Peace.